Well, let's talk about the next bit of drama that's erupting across the internet. Check this out from Timcast.com. Sydney Watson sues Blaze TV over alleged abuse by Elijah Schaefer. Wow. This is just so crazy. Okay, look. For those that aren't familiar, they had a show on Blaze called, it was You Are Here, right?
Yeah.
You Are Here. Relatively short-lived. I think the Blaze deleted all of the content and changed the channel into prime time with Alex Stein. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Because that's what I saw. I just want to make sure I'm getting it right. Okay, that's a bad idea for any reason. Like that's people who subscribe to watch Elijah and Sydney they're going to unsubscribe like crazy, and then you've got a weird algorithmic thing. But I understand why they do that. You don't want to just nuke a channel, but in this instance, we have more alt media conflict, infighting. This story, it says from Timcast.com, former Blaze TV personality and YouTuber Sydney Watson is suing the outlet for retaliation and wrongful termination, along with religious and sex discrimination for alleged abuse by fellow former Blaze personality Elijah Schaefer. That's crazy because I thought they were friends, but I know that she quit. I know the show fell apart. So I'll also add, I'm not sure that Elijah has put out a statement or anything. So what you're getting are accusations.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying Sydney's wrong. I'm just saying I don't know what the full picture is. They say Watson claims she signed with the Blaze TV because the company reportedly represented itself as an incubator of talent, citing previous success with past personalities Dana Lash and Tommy Loren. The former personality also claimed the outlet's moral values played a role in her decision to sign with Blaze TV. Watson claimed Schaefer engaged in misogyny and acted in a grossly sexual nature and reportedly drank on set, though Blaze TV reportedly catered to the demands, tantrums, and misbehavior of Schaefer, according to the complaint, citing Schaefer as the star and primary asset of the outlet. He appeared to enjoy the intimidation factor that his physical size gave him with respect to Miss Watson, reads Watson's complaint. The choice of guests compounded Miss Watson's growing discomfort with the anti-female tone of the show and off-air interactions. Watson cited a December 3rd appearance of controversial political commentator Nick Fuentes, claiming he was grossly misogynistic, and Schaefer appeared to condone the behavior. It was at about this time, the environment of the production began to become notably more hostile, not merely to Miss Watson, but to many of the women at the Blaze. That's very interesting. Watson further cited a hostile interaction during a December 2021 episode in which guest Jack Murphy berated Watson regarding the content of a viewer's super chat. The former Blaze TV personality further accused her co-host of unilaterally booking guests with particularly contemptible and sexist opinions towards women. The complaint also claimed audience members were encouraged by Mr. Schaefer's conduct and attacked Miss Watson so often and so intensely that other guests noted it and were put off. The suit cites super chats containing grossly sexist and anti-Jewish sentiment, which Miss Watson claimed was cultivated by Schaefer. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I've been on the show a couple times. I was on with Alex one time, Alex Jones, and I was also on as a standalone guest. The one time that I was on as a standalone guest, Elijah got he got real drunk.
Wow.
He got drunk enough where I wasn't going out after the show to hang out. I went back to my hotel room.
And in the studio he got drunk?
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was on with Alex, he wasn't, I don't recall him being significantly drunk, but the one time that I was on, it was awkward and weird. But, he was nice, but you could tell that he had been drinking. So maybe, and I didn't see him behave in an inappropriate way when I was there. But I know how booze is. I mean, there's a reason I don't drink anymore.
The one thing I did hear was that Sydney would often read super chats that contained dog whistles or whatever people were saying, and she wouldn't know. They'd be like, hey, read the super chat, and she would read it. I think that's one of the complaints she had, that she'd get goaded into reading these offensive and...
Was their shtick that they read every single super chat? I didn't watch their show.
I think at first it was when it was still growing. But yeah, they would have super chats. There's like a new viral clip. It's not of Sydney Watson, but it's basically these two girls, and one girl's like, happy birthday to, and it's like a word that says the N-word, but they didn't realize until after. So they would do that to Sydney a lot. Yeah. And I think with Sydney, her failure on that was the second you show that it bothers you, people are going to keep going. Mm-hmm. That's like, as someone that's like a troll, like I notice if I say something that bothers someone, I just keep... Yeah. If someone tells me not to do something, I do it. So like that's just the way she handled it incorrectly, and just I feel like Elijah's audience just did not mesh with her. I never thought that they were a good mixture in general, because she's pretty feminist, especially for the right, in my view. Like
Sydney is?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she probably would not like the stuff I post.
I mean, I kind of feel like I don't look. Elijah Schaffer hasn't come out and issued a statement on this, but Sydney seems to be a more level-headed person when it comes to issues of feminism. She calls out the BS.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like if she's coming out and being like, "Hey, this is what happened," and granted, this is like I've not heard what she's said about it. Probably she won't because you don't speak when you're in a lawsuit. But I'm kind of like, she's credible on this stuff. If she's coming out and saying, "Hey, these are things that were bad," like I'd take it seriously. I don't want to throw Elijah under the bus because I don't know.
Yeah,
but I don't see Sydney lying about something when she's level-headed about it.
It's so hard to weigh in on this because we're obviously not there. We don't know. She seems great. She's talented. I was really grateful Elijah had me on after I went to the opening statements for January 6th, and he had me on to talk my article. Super professional. It was a good experience, but I am not in the room with either one of them every day, right? I don't know Sydney. I don't know Elijah all that well. And it is hard to see these things hashed out in a public forum. Not that they shouldn't be, but because people are so quick to weigh in on these things that you actually have very limited experience about. If she was treated badly, that's terrible. And I hope there is something to do, like something happens from it, but also like, I feel like I have to be really careful and say like, I don't know what's going on.
Are we in a simulation? Guys, be honest with me. Is this a Truman Show? Are you guys punking me or something? Because we had Crowder and the Daily Wire from December into January. We have Project Veritas and O'Keefe. Obviously, we got embroiled in some drama, and that's why this is exactly why I'm like, this stuff freaks me out. Now you've got Blaze undergoing its own version. How is all of this happening at the same time?
Because the midterms haven't really kicked off, or the elections primaries haven't kicked off yet. That's why.
I don't know. I mean, I know drama happens all the time, but to this degree, at this level,
and at each independent outlet, kind of like one by one by one,
it's coordinated, like you said, Tim.
But I was joking. But this is exactly why I was like, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Look, like I'll eat crow. I'll do whatever. I'm scared that this stuff is just bad for what may be like the last bastion of hope in a chaotic world. It's not just about wokeness. It's not just about Democrats or whatever. It's about the fires of chaos and the struggle of order to maintain. It's like, it feels like we're the last city with our walls fortifying us, and every day the fires and the zombies are trying to break in, and we're trying to reclaim, this territory. If we're fighting inside over politics, it's just oof.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've been very friendly with Elijah in the past, and I've been friendly with Sydney in the past too. I think the most troublesome part of this is that, unfortunately, this isn't Elijah's only trouble that happened at the Blaze. I think he got fired for inappropriate behavior towards another coworker in the past. And I think a bigger trend here, not just with Elijah, but with a lot of influencers, is failing to live up to the values that they perpetuate or claim to perpetuate. So if you're claiming that you're a family man and, you believe that males should protect females and, that sort of ideology, and then you don't exhibit any of those characteristics on the show, and you're married and behave in a different way, at your company, then I think a bigger issue here is, again, people failing to live up to their values or the values that they claim. And you guys could read in between the lines here because I'm not giving a lot of details, but I think this isn't only an issue with Elijah. Many people fail to live up to the values they espouse. And I just kind of wanted to get that out there because that is, yeah.
That's why, like, even though, like, this is a fairly conservative orbit show, a lot of social conservatives and stuff like that. That's why I'm very open and clear that I am a total degenerate. Like, I don't want people thinking that I'm going to say, oh, hey, or that I'm going to be saying that I'm some kind of social conservative, or that, someone would be like, oh, Phil, this girl that Phil hooked up with, blah, 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 or whatever. Like, there is no airs of putting on like, oh, I'm some kind of. You're
not saying you're a trad man while you're married, and then saying you don't drink, and then drink, and then you have a wife, and then behave in ways that people with wives shouldn't behave. So like, you're not putting on a persona that's not true. Aren't you a rock star? You're
exactly.
So, you doing things is different than people who claim to be
too many LARPers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're just like you said, it's too many people that aren't living up to the values that they espouse. Like, there's very, very rarely is anyone going to be able to say, oh, Phil, you're supporting this big government idea, blah, blah, blah. I'm fairly consistent with my political ideology, but when it comes to, social conservative things, I'm not a social conservative. So,
and this is oftentimes too, people will gatekeep others and say, you're not enough of this, you're not doing enough of this, when in reality, if they looked in the mirror, they aren't actually exemplifying any of the qualities that they perpetuate.
Right. So. Do you think any of the issue too. Sorry.
Just real quick. Obviously, we know a lot of people involved in this.
Yeah.
So until I get confirmation that I'm allowed to share, I've got people right now blowing up my phone over this stuff. I'll just say right now, what I'm hearing from multiple people is disputed. Like, the conflict between the two is
Sure.
disputed. Basically, like, I'll leave it at that because I need to, after the show, talk to them and say, hey, can we get this on record and stuff like that. But
this wasn't the reason Elijah was originally fired from the Blaze, as I understand. It was
the
another
reason?
situation, an incident with him and Sarah Gonzalez.
Oh, that's
another
right.
Person who did work at the Blaze. So that's why I mentioned that other thing, and that it's part of a more grand people perpetuating positions of themselves that aren't necessarily true.
I'm friendly with Sid as well. Like I don't want to like I personally like we have a rapport, and she's not the kind of person that makes stuff up. So from my perspective,
Well, I think clearly people have a hunger for this political drama. So I think what we should do is have a Jersey Shore style political reality TV show house. So that way we can get our drama fix.
And every one of the alternative media companies has to send one person. We see if they
So
survive.
then there's our drama, but
We'll
then everyone
send
else.
Ian because I
Yeah.
think that's our best bet.
Ian will
Yeah.
be desperately trying to make everyone get along, but
That would go
naively,
viral.
like, not understanding the political conflict. Like, we'll get leftists and right wingers. He'll be like, guys, you got to work together on this. And they'll be like, he's a fascist. She's a commie.
this is a great idea.
Right?
I'm telling you,
This
this
is
is
a
the
great
game show,
idea.
right?
At the-
Missing piece.
At the very least, it'd be a hilarious sitcom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
viral,
great.
so viral. I'm like rewatching Jersey Shore right now, and they filmed that when it was okay to be not woke, and they're super offensive. And I'm just thinking, wow, imagine we just put like a bunch of the biggest political influencers all in one house and record it. Amazing.
Aren't they doing a reunion?
Jersey Shore.
Oh,
was
they've
awesome.
been doing it. I'm watching it.
They do like
So
a family
awesome.
vacation
And the
stuff.
right wing,
Right.
the right wing.
They can never stop. Do you think that some of these issues come up, especially in social conservative circles, because people misunderstand what being traditional means, what being traditionally masculine means, what being feminine means? Do you think that there's any times a misinterpretation of what those values are that gets people into trouble?
I think there might be a misinterpretation of what is traditionally masculine and what is a positive masculine, behavior. And I think that is because of the way that masculine men have been portrayed for the past 30 years or so. I don't think that it's a misunderstanding of what like traditional is. I think that it's just dudes be horny, like,
Yeah.
and like booze lowers inhibitions and all the things that, all of the vices that are, vices that lead people astray from,
Sure.
whatever kind of puritanical ideas they have. I think that that's a very normal thing that happens, not something that we should, that you should be happy about, but it's something that's very normal. And I don't think scandal is new. Scandal and that kind of behavior goes as far back as there's been human beings.
Yeah. It makes me think of, I've known some people who describe themselves as alpha males who you see them conduct themselves, and what they seem to believe is being a strong man is actually being very domineering and being sort of, it's like this misinterpretation. You don't know if because maybe they've been fed this one narrative so long, there's an overcompensation, or if they actually don't, or if they can't kind of evaluate how they are conducting themselves.
So like someone like Andrew Tate is definitely not, like, he's definitely a masculine dude, but I don't think that he's the kind of dude that you should emulate if you are looking to have a traditional life. If that's your deal, I don't think that Andrew Tate's the guy you should try to be at all.
I feel like we're living in a golden age of being a fraud because it's easier to lie about your resume more than ever. It goes beyond people that we're talking about now. Like Liver King guy was selling people a bill of goods that was completely
Anybody
wrong.
that believed that the Liver King wasn't doing steroids, I have a bridge in Brooklyn that is up for sale. DM me, my DMs are open. I will sell you that bridge.
But sadly, a lot of young men believe him.
But I don't know enough about Andrew Tate, but I feel like there is a Matrix attack against him to smear him. I'm actually only half kidding when I say that, because the clips I've seen of him, not the ones that people spread around to smear him. That may be bad. He may have said those bad things, but I've heard good things from him.
Yeah,
I've heard things that are, and the response I hear from people is like, oh, well, actually, when Eliza Blue was on, she was like, he's not saying anything new or unique that no one else has. I'm like, yeah, but he's like a championship kickboxer who's coming out and telling guys to work hard, be successful, don't give up, start working out, eat right. And I'm like, that's pretty good. The fact that a guy can generate a massive following and make a ton of money because he's convinced a bunch of young men to start doing push-ups and exercise is good. As for the other stuff, I can only say we talked about on this show, 2 of the women that they claim were victims came out and said they weren't, and the judge ruled they were. It's like, if you can't have witnesses come out and actually defend you because a court says you're not allowed to. So look, I'll put it this way. They've not charged the Tates with a crime.
They haven't charged them yet?
They're not charged with any crime.
Oh.
They're
They're
being
in custody? Hanging out in
Yep.
custody.
They arrested them with no charges. And I'm like, so everyone's saying, like, is this a Matrix attack against the Tate brothers? And we're like, well, I don't know. I've seen these videos. And then it's like, oh, by the way, they never actually charged them. They just locked them up. Because that's what they do in Romania, I guess. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I've got questions about this. Then when the witnesses came out and said they weren't victims, and then the judge said, nah, you're brainwashed. And people went, well, sometimes people are brainwashed. I'm like, I don't care. A woman has agency. If she says, I am fine with this, there's no victim.
Yeah.
But they still locked the guy up. So I'm not trying to come out with the full-throated defense of Andrew Tate because I don't know a lot of what he said. All I know is that doesn't make sense. And all I know is the messages that I've heard, he had one where he said, rocket ship to the moon doesn't stop halfway to take a break. It keeps going and it keeps working. And I'm like, I mean, I like that. I don't know about the rest of it. I don't follow the guy. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be a champion fighter, you do have to have a work ethic that is at least a step or two beyond the average person.
Yeah, and he came from nothing, because I used to watch a lot of clips of him in interviews, because I like the most offensive, annoying people on the internet. So naturally, I gravitated towards him. Shocking, I know.
I wanted to like him. Like when I first, like the first time that I ever saw him was the Star Wars. Keep your
I don't even know what that is.
There's this thing. He's like, I never saw Star Wars. I'm a millionaire. If you
Same,
like Star
I've never
Wars,
seen Star Wars either.
Which that was the first time I saw it. And I was like, okay, I get it. It got attention and stuff. And I wanted to be like, all right, this guy is, he seems kind of over the top, but maybe he's,
well, now
maybe.
I like him more because I've never seen Star Wars either. But my point is he actually did come from nothing. He's talked about how whenever it was him or his brother's birthday, they would go to KFC because they're that poor. They would go to KFC and go pick up the chicken that are in leftover buckets that were on the tables. And now every time for their birthdays, even though they're rich now, even though they're locked up right now, but when they're rich, they still go to KFC because it's like nostalgic. So he came from nothing. I know his father was like a really world-class chess player, and he could never beat his dad, but the one thing he could do is fight. So I think it's a really cool story. I like rags to riches stories all the time.
I've become so cynical with all these influencers, and it seems like everybody's a fraud now. I'm not saying he is, but it also feel like he came out of nowhere. It almost seemed like it felt like he was being pushed, if you will. I don't have any, this is reckless speculation right now, but it did feel as though he kept getting shoved in your face and not being super controversial. And then he converted to Islam.
Well, he was on a TV show in the UK first. He was
on
like
Big
Big
Brother.
Brother or something like that. So he had a little bit of a base to start from, and then
And that was after sports, right? He did the sports, retired, did Big Brother.
Yeah. So I mean, he had some kind of base to start with, but and again, like I said, I wanted to like him, or I hope that it's. I hope that he didn't actually do anything wrong and that he was legit, but I don't know that I believe it.
Yeah.
Either I don't know that I have seen enough evidence either way to have a strong opinion.
The videos and clips that I've seen are meaningless to me upon finding out they've not charged him with any crimes.
I didn't know that either. So
I've had enough fake videos put out about me. I've been complaining about it nonstop. Like, I'm not going to buy it. Show me the charges, show me the investigation. Yep. The media puts out all this stuff. They attack the guy.
Yep.
And I think it's funny that he calls it a Matrix attack, and then people laugh at the idea because it's like, what are you talking about, Matrix attack? And then it's like, oh, by the way, someone super chatted. They extended the lockup,
Right.
Yeah.
despite no criminal charges. Right. Apparently, that's how Romania operates.
Yeah.
They arrest you and then investigate.
Well, that
Glad
kind
I
of
don't live
reminds
there.
me of when O'Keefe was arrested in his apartment in New York City or New York one time, and I remember him telling me that there was no charges. They didn't charge him with anything, but they took his phone, so they stole his private property and didn't give it back to him without a charge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is happening in America too. The government sucks. Like TPUSA says, big government's bad. Or what is it?
Big government sucks.
Big government sucks. Sorry, it's been a long time.
And
since I've been-
socialism sucks. too.
Socialism sucks.
Both do. I agree
They
with
do
that.
suck. Fact
Like
check,
our-
true.
Like our vice president, who sucks the most.
But if you're talking about government sucking, let's literalize it. It sucks money from your pocket, and the bigger it is, the more it sucks.
Yeah.
So it definitely sucks.
That's so true.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. We got into the subject of Andrew Tate. I think outside of him and all this stuff is going on, there's a reason why people like him become so big. Mm-hmm. There are a bunch of men who are growing up. They feel masculinity within them.
Yep.
And these are normal things that are good.
Yep.
We're not talking about whatever the toxic masculinity is supposed to be. It's a guy being like, I want to, go to the gym and I want to work out. and they're constantly being told it's wrong. I think for a lot of young men who are, I shouldn't just say young men, a lot of men that are overweight or out of shape and eating bad, they want to be encouraged to feel good. They want a strong leader to encourage them and be that father figure or that commander. So you're seeing people, it's funny, you get Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson's no fighter. I mean, politically, he's a fighter. I mean, that whole C-16 bill in Canada, the dude went to war over this, but he's also kind of a frail intellectual. Not trying to be mean.
You're not expecting him in the kickboxing ring.
No, he's a skinny guy who says, clean your room, gosh darn it. And then Andrew Tate is this super ripped kickboxer who's saying, clean your room, dude, and like yelling at you. Mm-hmm. Dudes are yearning for someone to just tell them it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is, I think that you are dead on with that. I think that the fact that there has been such an influence by the left, and feminism is a left-leaning ideology, I think. Since the 90s, it's been Al Bundy is the father and everything. It's some kind of half moron that's lucky to be in a marriage with the smart wife that saves him from his own stupidity all the time. And it's either that or it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even like the Rock is the kind of the guy, but even he's not.
Red Foreman in That 70s Show, people loved him as a dad. He
absolutely.
just yells at his kids all the time.
Yeah, and it's because it's masculine, like positive masculine role models have been almost entirely removed from society. I mean, look at Sam Smith, the pictures that he just put out today. He looked like a ham. He literally looked like a ham.
And this is what they put on stage. This is what they celebrate. And look, I'm fairly libertarian. Sam, do your thing, bro. I got no issues. He's in bondage gear or whatever. That's his thing. But this is what they're encouraging. And what I think we're seeing now is you've got young men. Let's go back in time. Remember how they were talking about putting kids on ADHD medication, Adderall, Ritalin, and then you see like the trope of the kid like fidgeting in class, and they're like, stop fidgeting. It's because these young boys, mostly young boys, have energy and they want to use it. And they want to run, they want to jump, they want to exercise, that's what they do. And what they were doing is they were effectively feminizing, because young women that sit still and are not as fidgety and crazy and aggressive. So they're sort of trying to train out this natural energy, which is a good thing. Guys grow into it, they focus it, and they utilize that for lifting steel beams and doing construction or playing sports or whatever. But they're trying to lock these kids up, and they said, oh, these kids don't want to stop fidgeting, give them drugs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are trying to break out of this cage, and for some reason there is a strong effort to promote the idea that they should be in the cage.
Institutions find it easier to manipulate submissive people, right? I'm not saying women are just naturally all submissive.
They
or
should
whatever
be.
else. But submission is a female trait, and it works really well in a strong partnership, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Repeal the
that's
19th?
Yeah, no, seriously. The worst thing that's ever happened to this country. Don't even get me started.
so true. But I think
That wasn't me saying it. That was Isabella.
But I think
Both of them. They both did. They're
I
like,
think women
Listen
should
to
be
the
able to
women.
vote. For the record, you guys should be able to vote.
You're such a
Both
rhino.
of you guys.
All the men are like women, you can vote, and the women in the room are like, no.
Yeah.
well,
don't you see what-
I said
what
this
they
once
would
on the
do?
show. I'll keep the right to vote as long as you guys keep putting out Fast and the Furious movies. But
Yes.
other than that, that's where I question your judgment. But no, I think that women, the word submission has been made to seem evil, and at times being submitting to a big government, to authority, can be bad. But for women, it's more about a role in partnership. And I think that for public schools, let's say with boys, if you give a young girl a direction, go to your desk and sit down and be quiet, maybe she'll do it because maybe that's her energy and that's what comes with being female. And if a little boy is like, but I want to do that thing over there, whatever, like, it's not a bad thing. They're just different, right? But it becomes easier to, which kid do you want in your class then if you're the teacher? The one who's going to listen to your rules. You're not willing to change your structure to the needs of the students. You want them to conform to what you need.
Of course, that's what school is, though. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm curious though with like people like Sam Smith, and that's the idea they're pushing forward, or the Gillette commercial where it's like toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And that commercial was like a guy saw a woman, he wanted to talk to her, and then another guy's like, don't do it, bro.
Yeah.
Like the guy goes, ooh, and he sees the girl walk by. It's like, how are you supposed to meet women? Just don't. Like you don't need.
That's the message given to young guys. Like, I mean, young dudes that are like not like the top 10% of dudes or whatever, they got it rough. They got it real rough.
Have you seen these? There are these old interviews with incels. And it's like a normal looking guy, but he's convinced something's wrong with him, or he's ugly because he's not a Chad or whatever. And it's just like, bro, you just need to go out. But when the TV says your whole life, guys shouldn't talk to women, when they do that video, 10 hours of walking through New York as a woman, and they're complaining that someone said, morning. There's like a guy and he's like, how do you do? And they're like, oh, well, I never.
Or the TikTok videos where guys try to go up and help. We were talking about it the other night. The gym TikTok videos, or there was a Media Matters girl was catfishing dudes on Swipe Right.
These people would never last on the Truman Show. Basic friendliness is bad.
Isabel, what do you think of the way we're molding modern day masculinity and femininity?
Don't even get me started. I mean, they're trying to make men women and women men, because then they're going to be naturally unhappy because they're walking outside of their role, and then they're going to be way more easily dominated and submit to the government. That's what they want. They want to dismantle the American family. They want to dismantle masculinity, and women want to become men. Like, I was just on a Jubilee middle ground panel as an anti-feminist, and I mean, literally, the feminists are so brainwashed against men that one of the feminists, I was saying, well, what about strong men that protect you from bad men? Because if you're a girl walking home alone, wouldn't you rather have a good man with you to protect you? And this girl goes, well, what about now the good man gets to just get praised because he's good, but who is he being compared to? Bad men. So it's like now they're getting mad at good men protecting you. It's hard for me even to articulate because it literally makes zero sense.
Or you could have a gun.
Which they want to get rid of too.
I know. That's the craziest thing to
Or
me.
you have both, right? You have a strong good man and a gun. Like,
right.
Let's not limit these
and
things.
And then you defend yourselves from criminals, and it's like a family thing. Like, you're protecting each other. You know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Guns
The
are
family unit might be good for protection.
Think about it this way. You got a big, strong man and his wife. They're both armed. And then a criminal appears. The guy says, I don't want to use lethal force, but struggles to stop the guy. And the woman says, I can now protect you too. I think everybody should have guns. That's just me.
Men or women are supposed to be in partnership, and they have traits to balance each other. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm recently married within the last year.
Mazel
And
tov.
Thank you. And I've always been anti-feminist, never been on the left or a feminist, but I used to pretty much live kind of like, I just want to do my career, and I don't want to ever have kids. I don't really want to get married. I'm very, I was going to say isolationist. I'm very introverted. I like to be by myself. But I've never been happier than I've been now, actually being a wife and like cooking my husband dinner, and just he comes first and serving that, and like now I do want kids, and it's great, and I've never would have thought I wanted that, and I've never been happier before in my life, and that message needs to be told to more girls.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.